All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the High School Esports League. We had some serious technical difficulties, but we are getting ready to start off game, well, number one. Well, it's the only game today, I suppose. I'm Pyrotechnics. I'm joined by Desi Fresh for Crocs Esports versus Straight Voltaic, and these are two
Welcome once again to
undefeated
the
teams
High
so far.
School
Desi, what do you
Esports
make?
League.
We had some serious technical difficulties, but we
Well, like
are
you
getting
said,
ready
these
to
are
start
these
off
are like
game.
these teams. They're
Well, number one. Well, it's
undefeated
the
right
only game
now.
today, I
They have
suppose.
both have a 5-0
I'm
record.
Pyrotechnics. I'm joined by
So
Desi Fresh
the loser
for
of this
Crocs
match
Esports
will
versus Straight Voltaic.
unfortunately,
Welcome.
have to have that one under the L category.
Yep, just 5 ticks in the wins and 1 in the loss won't be the greatest thing for him, but nonetheless, pretty much both guaranteed to make it off into the playoffs too. So this is relatively a fight for the seeding. Just to give you a quick rundown of the players and teams that are the players and which teams they're on and all that. We'll start off with Crocs Esports, Pinecrest Preparatory. Of course, they are actually going to be for this game. On the red side is Admin Crow in the top lane. Bios is the jungler. Caesar Legion, the mid laner. Aerodon, the AD carry. Unanimous is the support.
And on the blue side, we have Infernal Nasus, played by the Turtle Cho. Found Luggage is playing 900 Rengar. Zack the Bunny Hero on Dragonblade Talon. Hazuyaki on Headhunter Caitlyn. And Haizuyaki on Ghost Bride Morgana.
Thinking those two might be related.
Probably. Maybe brothers.
Yeah, something like that. But getting this game just loaded up. We didn't get to talk much since Champ Select was interrupted by the few technical difficulties that we did have. With the team comps that these two have loaded, this is really, really interesting. A lot of assassination potential on the side of Straight Voltaic. However, there's still a really scary late game on the opposite side there.
Yeah, like the amount of damage that they're going to be providing is with the Nasus. If they let him farm up, it's going to be extremely devastating. Thankfully, they have the Jax on the other side, so he's going to be providing a lot of pressure to the Nasus in the early game.
Yep, and of course, you've got a Jax in top lane. That's sort of a ticking time bomb, the way it's going to get rolling off there. Interesting to see a jungle Maokai. It's not really the role that we've been familiar with him in, but again, this is the current patch. There have been a couple of changes since we've seen him played so frequently at Worlds, picked and banned. But both teams getting ready to march out the gates here.
Pretty standard stuff coming out from both teams. I like the Doran shield on the Nasus. He's going to provide a little bit of extra defense against the Jax. He doesn't have to worry too much about him in the early game, especially with the lifesteal he gets passively. He should be pretty healthy in that lane up until Jax goes back and possibly picks up that Blade of the Ruin King.
Absolutely.
He's going to have to be careful. We might actually see a lot of early armor coming out from him, possibly a Frozen Heart or a Randwind's Omen.
Yeah, definitely a possibility with the way we don't see too many Nasus in competitive play, and it just, when we do, it tends to be a very, very tanky build. I'm kind of surprised Admin Crow opts for the level 1 boots pickup. He's not going to have extra damage, but the movement speed might help him just a little bit, as he does make use of those, making his way towards the top lane.
We'll have to see. We do see a lot of wards going down across the river from Straight Voltaic, just giving vision of the entire river, making sure we don't have any lane swap shenanigans coming out from either of the teams.
And fairly normal start, as you said, but especially I'm very impressed by the warding coverage that is going here from Crocs Esports. They are not taking any chances. And vision has been a really, really costly thing lately. People have been investing a lot into it to try and secure up early advantages, especially in the higher tiers of competitive play. And let's see if it can pay dividends for this team. They are, of course, not undefeated for no reason at all.
Yeah, and if you look at in the other groups, like we see a really close group stage from all of the other 3 groups. We see so a couple of ties. And the coming week, next week, is going to be really important for some of those teams in order to make the playoffs.
Absolutely. It really does come down to the wire at the end of the day. And, of course, these teams playing for decent-sized prizes and bragging rights. Of course, all those prizes have been wonderfully doled out by our awesome sponsors, in particular our Dogecoin. So thank you very much for all the wonderful contributions of the Shiba community.
So we do see some So we are actually in the lanes. Both junglers did start on the bottom side, so they're going to have a little bit of a choice on where to gank the top lane or the bottom lane. And I really do expect Maokai to just focus off onto that top lane to make sure that they delay the Nasus as long as possible.
Yeah, and having a Maokai in the jungle presents a really interesting setup too. Typically talk about early game ganking champions. Rengar is not really on that list. He has to wait until 6 before they become incredibly effective. You can see that he's taking his time to fill out the rest of his buffs, just picking up that blue found luggage over there. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Bios does make some moves up towards the top, and it looks like that's where he's heading.
Well, so is found luggage, and they are going to catch each other out. Found luggage, though, he is going to go in a little bit earlier, and Bios is going to catch found luggage. There goes the twisted advance onto him. There's the slow. Jax is there. Will they be able to take him down? And he's going to have to flash away, and he will live.
Yeah, really, really nice counter gank there, although it was intended for the first time to be really that gank. And found luggage incredibly low. Bios, he might go in for round 2.
Well, the sapling did catch him out right there. He's doing white. He's taking it extremely low.
Well, that's not what you want to have happening, but maybe in this case.
And he lost double buffs too, so it's going to really hurt his clear speed.
Yeah, kind of hard to call that one because when you see the tree coming towards you, you know you're probably going to die at that rate, so maybe he just intentionally sacrificed so he wouldn't give the kill in the double buff reset.
That was unfortunate. And talking about bans, meanwhile in the mid lane, Zach the bunny hero jumped straight in onto Orianna, putting a nice bit of burst onto him, possibly preparing for the level 6. He is halfway to level 5. And as we all know, Talon has just an insane amount of burst at level 6. Bios is there, preparing for a gank. Found luggage also around the mid lane.
And he's going to walk away from that. That was kind of a hard gank to pull off, but so far, the jungler from Crocs has really been a little bit more effective in all this.
But in that top lane then, the Turtle Show, he's going to be caught out by Bios. He's forced to flash away, and that gank is just not going to happen anymore. He does not want a twisted advance straight into the tower.
Yep. Another good use of showing force and just forcing the opponent to actually move out of the way. So even though Nasus does have the level advantage here, he's been forced a bit off the farm. Meanwhile, in the mid lane...
Oh, that's actually really interesting. I didn't know you could do that with Talon. He used the rake, and while it was still in the air, he jumped to the Orianna, forcing the rake to essentially, as it was going forward, and during the backwards animation, it went back to the Talon. So that's just a bit of an interesting I learned right now.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Talon in the mid lane, found luggage, hanging out there, waiting for Siege of Legion to get a little out of position. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, but back to top lane. Turtle Cho has been forced back quite a lot on this. He's only up to 30 Q stacks. It's 6 minutes in. That's about half where you want to be at minimum. So he's going to have a rough later game, especially if Admin Crow gets rolling.
And that was really because Bios was just there to provide a lot of pressure for the Admin Crow. But in that mid lane, did not notice that happening. Zach the bunny hero hits level 6 and immediately jumping onto Caesar Legion. And he's going to pick up a nice, easy kill. He's going to go back. He has about 1,700 in his pocket, possibly going back to pick up a Brutalizer.
Yep, that is definitely going to help him get rolling right now. And if you take a look at the gold across the board, he does spend all of that extra First Blood gold to pick the Brutalizer up. Should help him for the future and put him a decent bit over Siege of Legion. But meanwhile, up in top, here comes Found Luggage.
And there it is, jumping straight on. The Bola Strike is there. Nasus has his ultimate, but so does Jax. He needs to be careful. Admin Crow failing the flash. There goes the second Bola Strike, and the Q. Will it come in? And he takes it. And there is the cane going straight down onto Admin Crow's face.
Bios, a little bit of Q farm in retribution.
Bios, he's hanging around the mid lane, possibly trying to set up a gank onto Zach the bunny, but he's just too far away in the twisted advance. Sure, it is a snare that does double as a dash, but it's a pretty mid-range spell. You can't really use that.
Yeah, Straightful Take's having some real troubles right here getting rolling. They, I mean, well, they've had some decent solid ganks. I'm sorry, I mixed it up. It's actually Crocs eSports. They're the ones having a little bit of trouble. So BIOS is on a decent champion, but it just doesn't seem like he's able to find some rhythm where he can gank. He doesn't have any damage. That's the problem with the tank jungler. So what do you do from here, really? That's the question.
It's a really interesting conundrum for them right there. They're really gonna have to like just play to their comp. They have such a large AOE comp right there. There it is, Zach the Bunny Hero. Oh, he was
Takes a
feigning
lot of return fire.
He does. He did put down a lot of damage onto Caesar Legion, but Caesar Legion has his ultimate now, and if Zach the Bunny Hero jumps onto her underneath the tower, it could prove pretty disastrous.
Don't think he wants to take it just yet.
BIOS, he has taken his red buff.
Uh-oh. With DC
That's
in the game right now, so that not exactly what you want to have happening with the game pause coming in right now. We can talk a little bit more about the way this game is shaped. Not a huge gold lead despite the 2 kills, so that certainly helps Pinecrest a little bit.
And that's really because of the CS difference in that top lane of Admin Crow with 54 and the Turtle Show with only 24. We were the last time we looked at him, he only had 19, so he's only had a 5. He's only taken 5 CS from the last time we actually talked about him.
Yep, and it looks like we have the reconnect, so we should be getting back into the game, and no serious problems happening for the time being. But yeah, that really is making a big part of the difference. Keeping Turtle Cho down on CS, and especially down on Q Farm, is going to help them scale a little bit faster. I mean, yeah, Nasus will be crazy and hard to deal with, but if you never let them get rolling, well, that's even better.
So what we haven't really talked about the bottom lane yet. It's actually going pretty even right now. Both of the AD carries have gone back and picked up their own respective BF swords. So hopefully once they hit level 6, they're both pretty close to it at this point. Couple of CS, maybe a wave left, and we could be seeing a lot of explosions happening in that bottom lane.
Yeah, that's definitely a powder keg of activity. We'll have to see when he gets back into it. But speaking of explosive shots, Aerodon hasn't really made that big of an impact, and of course Tristana not known for having that hugely explosive start to a lane, whereas Hazuyaki and Haizuyaki were going to have a little bit more luck on that one. Morgana actually has not been as frequent of a pick until really recently. There was a time when it was an incredibly popular choice, considered a counter to a lot of those really popular supports, but it's not as much lately, especially against the Janna. Kind of surprised at that pick.
What's actually really interesting to me is Aerodon on the Tristana, he hasn't leveled up his rapid fire yet.
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
Put 2 points into rocket jump and 3 points into explosive shot. So, and with the recent Tristana nerfs, he's not going to be attacking too much. Oh, in that mid lane, like you said, we see Zach the Bunny here picking up a nice easy kill onto Caesar Legion. BIOS is there, gonna try and finish up Zach the Bunny, but it's not gonna be a. Meanwhile, while all that was happening, Found Luggage unfortunately was a fatality on the purple side, on the blue side, I believe.
And at the end of the day, they traded a mid laner for a jungler, so not the worst case scenario, but Admin Crow might look to add a little bit extra. Zach the Bunny Hero, not gonna have any of it, walks away.
And this is really good for Turtle Cho as well, because this is going to give him a bit of a release of pressure in that top lane. It'll allow him to farm back up. He's still down to about 20. Hopefully, with that small roam from Jax, he will be able to farm back up, just slowly.
Yeah, Turtle Cho not doing too terribly now that he's gotten a little bit of help. Starts rolling away, 96 Q farm. It's still behind where you'd like to be by about 20 or 30 at this point in time, but still, he's able to reasonably keep up, and that's going to hurt Admin Crow the more and more the game goes on. Meanwhile, Dragon being started right now. Found Luggage and Hazuyaki double teaming.
That's really unfortunate too, because Found Luggage, he sweeped the bush in the river with the pink ward of red team in it, and he didn't decide to walk in. So they saw Found Luggage pass the ward. Unfortunately, we don't have any aggressive movement towards the dragon, so they're going to be taking down that dragon without any sort of retaliation.
Yeah, nice and easy gold pickup for them, and that's going to get them a little bit more in the lead. Now you see BIOS and Unanimous reacting very slowly to the whole thing, making a move to just clear out that pink, but they had to know it was happening. So 11 minutes in now, a decent-sized gold lead for Dunbar High.
And we see Zach the Bunny here. He's slowly starting to snowball. He's gone back with that kill. He's picked up a pickaxe, and he's bought the longsword with the brutalizer. So we can be sure he's going to get a lot of armor penetration really early. That's going to be built into a last whisper.
Oh, here he comes.
A nice engage onto Caesar Legion. Bios is there to counter it. But Caesar Legion, the Ignite is ticking. She will survive, but he cannot help the tree continue on to the Talon.
Yeah, Caesar's having a little bit of trouble dealing right now, especially with that massive CS differential. So Zach the Bunny Hero, blue buff in tow, is going to be able to take a bite out of that tower. And whoa, Bios.
Using the Twisted Advance onto the minion, as they're going to try and save that tower. But Zach the Bunny Hero, he's not too scared of Bios at this point. He still hasn't finished his Spirit of the Ancient Golem, so he's not too tanky yet either.
Does have that one kill on his side, but yeah, it's not quite the level they need it to be. However, Pinecrest does have some really solid late game scaling if they can get going. You see the Jax up in the top lane already completing his Bilgewater Cutlass, so it shouldn't be too long before he's able to pick up the Blade of the Rune King. Question is, how hard are those canes going to hurt?
Well, if we see, he's at about 135 stacks right now, so he's slowly starting to pick up. From last time we saw him in that jungle, though, we do see a bit of aggression going out. We see pings. Found Luggage just clearing a ward out. Bios looking to go. He had the Orianna ball on top of him. So if he had a nice Twisted Advance, we could have been seeing the Shockwave follow up. But actually, Shockwave is still on cooldown.
Bios is clutch ward in that brush. They know exactly what Found Luggage, Zach the Bunny Hero are doing. So they will just start to clear out a little bit of warding. But yeah, this is really good for them. They have the upper hand, able to collapse if they want to. But Caesar Legion just hanging out in mid lane.
Morgana binding. Aerodan taking a lot of damage. He needs to be careful. A dark binding. Zach the Bunny Hero jumps onto Caesar Legion. Found Luggage, though, taking really low. Admin Crow is going to pick up that easy kill. The Turtle Cho now finding Admin Crow. He needs to be careful, jumping away onto Caesar Legion, and he's going to be able to get away.
And that's just a nice bit of teamwork right there. And yeah, meanwhile, the bot lane traded themselves quite a lot of poke, and here comes Bios for some more.
Oh, he's going to spot the ward, but they know he's there. The teleport from Admin Crow is coming, but there's the stun. Admin Crow channeling the stun, but it doesn't come out. Bios using his Twisted Advance onto Haizuyaki, but they're going to have to get away. Admin Crow. Oh! The ultimate does hit him. Unanimous was not able to block the Caitlyn ultimate.
And meanwhile, they were able to pick up a tower in the mid side, so Zach and Turtle Cho double timing on that one, but there's action just all over the board here. It's really crazy to track. All the same, Pinecrest is slowly trickling behind there. 2,500 gold in the hole, and that's not where you want to be.
And we were talking about CS's lead. We've talked about CS leads before. We're looking at top lane. The Turtle Cho, he's essentially even with Admin Crow now. So all the effort they took to try and shut down Turtle Cho, it's all gone to naught. He's back farmed up, equal to Admin Cho. If you look at his stacks now, it's about 170, 177. So slowly, those canes are going to be hurting a lot.
Definitely starting to get that way.
You see a bit of a duel going on. Found Luggage, not using his ultimate just yet. He's just going to walk in. The Bola getting the snare onto Admin Crow. The Wither not able to come out from Turtle Show. He's diving.
Oh, he went too far.
Bios getting a nice Twisted Advance, locking him down underneath the tower. Yeah, as you said, he went a little bit too far. They're looking for Found Luggage. He's going to jump straight onto a minion, not onto Bios, actually. Zach the Bunny Hero, he's there, but I don't think he wants to go 3v1.
Well, that's what happens when you do finally locate your luggage. It was staring them right in the face, and as a result, they were nearly able to pick up an extra kill, but still a little bit out there. Turtle Cho just getting too overzealous. The bot lane, speaking of that, kind of pushed out a little far too, and again, it just seems very disjoint from both these teams. They're not really sure if they want to continue this laning phase or start the team fights. It's just been a lot of scattered engages so far.
And it's really unfortunate for Aerodan. Normally, Tristana would be really aggressive in the top lane. Zach the Bunny Hero jumping straight onto Admin Crow, picking up a kill underneath the tower. Bios is waiting for the jump to happen. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too slow, and Admin Crow did fall. BIOS will be there to pick up the retaliation kill on Zach the Bunny Hero. And
wow,
Tristana
Aerodon.
jumping straight onto Hazuyaki. Aerodon taking a lot of damage. And Unanimous using the Monsoon, knocking back Morgana so the chains will not get the stun off, saving them from death.
Supports have been incredibly instrumental this game in making sure that those carries don't go down too easily. I got to be a little bit worried for Aerodon, though, right now, as he's been kept even with Hazuyaki. Yes, he's still down a little bit item-wise, and he should start to scale a little bit better than Hazuyaki later on in the game, but they have to be careful. Here comes Found Luggage.
Found Luggage, as did he found Unanimous warding that Tribush, putting a little bit of poke, but he's not going to continue going on. Aerodon was there, and I don't think Found Luggage was hoping for a 2v1 situation.
It's a smart move right here, going for the dragon. They have 4 members. They don't have a teleport, and that's the issue. So maybe it's not the greatest move because they have Turtle Choke coming in. Here's Found Luggage. This is a problem.
Aerodon using the rocket jump over the wall. Howling Gale knocking up Hazuyaki. And will we be seeing them go in? Jax does not have his teleport up, so they can't really fight for it without dying. And they're going to have to let it go. The second dragon does go over to Croxy Sports. Pinecrest, I believe.
Yep, Pinecrest Prep will not pick that particular one up, as Dunbar just sort of muscled them out there. Turtle Show using the teleport advantage and abusing it. They will give up a tower to this, however, they may be able to find a little bit more of a catch circling on BIOS right now.
Hazuyaki putting a bit of damage. Oh, Found Luggage diving in straight on Zach the Bunny Hero, gonna follow up as well. They're trying. The Black Shield is on Zach the Bunny Hero, stopping any sort of CC that's coming his way. BIOS, he's surviving on a needle. There it is. Found Luggage gonna be picking up a kill onto Aerodon, Unanimous. He needs to be careful. Zach the Bunny Hero is gonna be surely going to be able to pick up that kill, and a really bloody ball in right there. 3 kills going over, 0 kills being given.
Yep, 3 for none. They do pick up the tower, but meanwhile, Admin Crow's on the bot side just hammering, or should we say cupping away at that second tier tower. He might be able to pick it up, but still, it's a little bit troubling right now, especially if you're Pinecrest Prep. They're falling further and further behind. This tower will help them get back into it.
Yeah, they are even in towers. Unfortunately, they are down 3 kills. If we look at the gold leader right now, they are down 3,000 gold. And that's not a huge amount for 18 minutes, but it's gotta hurt on them.
Well, the fact that they managed to take down 2 towers in the top side off the split push Jax, and that is what Jax was incredibly well known for. Perhaps the best split push in the game if your name's not Tryndamere. And as a result of that, it just has allowed them to get a little bit back of an edge into this game. Yes, they've given up a dragon. Yes, they gave up a lot of kills on the bot side and a tower, but at least they got a few things back for it. So Admin Crow really trying to keep this game in his team's favor.
Yeah. So, not too much going on right now. We do see a nice Seeker's Arm Guard coming out from Caesar Legion. Gonna give her a little bit of extra armor to try and fight Zach the Bunny Hero. But at this point of the game, I don't think she's gonna be looking for any sort of 1v1. That'll most likely be turned into the Zanya's Hourglass, probably as her first completed item, just to give her a little bit of extra survivability in terms of team fights, because Zach the Bunny Hero is probably going to be looking for her blood when the fights start coming.
Mm-hmm. And interesting placement of not just a lot of vision, but the cupcake traps as well. Hazuyaki trying to make sure that he doesn't get jumped on, but he's not watching his flank right now. BIOS is coming around the side.
Oh!
This could be trouble.
The Monsoon knocking Hazuyaki towards Aerodon. There goes the ace in the hole, not able to pick up the kill. The teleport coming in from Admin Crow. He's going to be there. Hazuyaki is in a really bad position. They're all jumping onto him. Hazuyaki, now, he tried to help his AD carry. Unfortunately, BIOS is going to be able to twist it advance there. Admin Crow following it up as well. Found Luggage will not be able to help Hazuyaki, and that is 2 kills going over to the red team. Unanimous was, unfortunately, a fatality of that fight.
And that is exactly what Pinecrest needed to get back into this one. Crocs eSports, the couple more pickups get themselves a little closer to getting back in the game. Meanwhile, Zach the Bunny Hero and Turtle Show are going to answer a couple of turrets as well. So, all said and done, it's hard for them to cover all their flanks, even though they took a successful fight.
And we do see Pinecrest grouping around in that middle lane. They did spot out Zach the Bunny Hero in that river bush. We'll have to see where they go from this. We might see them push down that middle lane tower. Zach the Bunny Hero will be there to defend it. But can he defend against Aerodon and Caesar Legion at the same time? We do see a lot of movement towards that mid lane as well from Straight Voltaic. So hopefully they'll be able to defend that.
Yep, with the solid 4,200 gold lead right now in the pockets of Dunbar High, Pinecrest have to do something to get back. They are investing heavily in vision around the Baron Pit, and that is, and in their own jungle as well. And that is fairly necessary if there is a rush attempt. It's only 21.5 minutes, but you never know in these types of games that can happen.
And if we actually just look at vision coverage, we can see that Pinecrest, there is very little in terms of ward coverage for them. I'm sorry, in Dunbar. There's very little in terms of ward coverage for them. There's a couple wards in that bottom lane, but nothing too much after that. The dragon is going to be spawning in about a minute, so hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more vision coverage for them.
When you take a look at the way this game has petered out so far and the balance and the gold on the different champions, the real troubling thing for Pinecrest becomes apparent is that they're pretty much leaning on Admincrow to make this happen. He is the heart and soul of their team right now, has the vast majority of their kills, has the best kill participation pretty much, about 80-85% anyone else on the team, with the exception of maybe Caesar Legion. So they really need to make sure that they're consistently having him available in fights. He has so much more gold than really anyone except for Zach the Bunny Hero. But it's not going to be easy here. All 5 members right now of Dunbar are making a move towards the top side. It's being followed up by Pinecrest.
It looks as though they're just going to completely ignore the dragon. You see a lot of wards going down. Found luggage is going to be found by Admincrow. A nice dark binding onto Caesar Legion. He's going to be knocked down extremely quickly. We see a really bloody fight. The Morgana chain's going around. The exhaust is actually put on Morgana and not the Caitlyn Files. He still survives. Aerodon, he's in the back line, pounding out onto Turtle Show, but it will not be enough. The Wither is there, and it looks like that fight will go in favor of Straight Voltaic.
Yep, only losing found luggage, and well, if you've flown any budget airline in the last couple of years, that's probably the least of your concerns. So they managed to take down 4-1, and they get themselves a turret as well. This time, it's Dunbar really taking the lead.
Yeah, they really... And Pinecrest, they really need to be careful in terms of trying to start these fights. The Orianna, like as you were talking before, Admincrow is the person that they need to carry this game. And the amount of AoE that Zach the Bunny Hero is providing in these fights is just melting down Caesar Legion and Admincrow. We might have to see Admincrow start building some armor, otherwise he will not be able to survive the later fights.
Yep, at this point, Pinecrest definitely starting to think about how they might be able to come back into this one, but the issue is the way this game's starting to snowball out of control. They're losing the edges that they had in the early game, and there is always Turtle Show, sliver so bigger. Not incredibly huge on the Q-Stacks department right now, but still, they have to worry about that. They're going to try to get back in the gold game a little bit. Well, actually, that's found luggage, excuse me, and Dunbar that do manage to secure up another dragon, so that gives them an even larger gold lead, and now they go for Admincrow. Uh-oh, this could be trouble.
Yeah, found luggage using an ultimate, gonna find Admincrow in the bush, and not too much can be said right there. He's been caught out, and in a 3v1 situation, you can be sure that he was not gonna be able to get away.
Yep, they do need to try and make this game last a little bit longer. The trouble does come when you do end up hitting on found luggage with a full Feral Flare stack coming up. Turtle Show, the Nasus Q stacks just get harder and harder hitting each time, and well, they really need to put gold on more than just Admincrow. He's still been doing his best to just keep this rolling, but Aerodon really needs to step up, start picking up kills, and instead he's just been forced out or not even in position for these fights, and that's been a big problem for Pinecrest.
Well, Aerodon and Unanimous, they're trying to defend this tower from the threat of Hizuyaki, and Zach the Bunny, but actually they did successfully defend it. It looks as though they were not too interested in it. We do see Found Luggage taking red buff for himself. Not going to give it over to Hazuyaki right now, possibly as the game continues.
Yeah, they are roaming together just completely as a unit at this point, so the game has kind of gone into that strange late game phase a little bit early. It's almost seemed like it went straight from the laning phase directly into that with a couple of scattered engagements across the board. But again, no matter how Cho has really been down this game, he still should be able to jump up in the Q farm the longer it goes on. I mean, it's a really low number right now for 26.5 minutes in, but it still gets worse and worse the more the game goes on. The issue right now for Pinecrest is they're just in danger of being steamrolled and overwhelmed if they do get caught out in bad positioning. So far, that hasn't happened since Admin Crow gets caught that one time on the bot side. But even so, they have to be careful not to let little mistakes like that continue to happen to them. And there's a lot of ward coverage that they have. Bios is actually out a little bit far warding, and he's seen.
And it's really smart from Turtle Show to actually build 2 armor items because he knows Caesar Legion is not that big of a threat. He's 0, 3, and 6 right now, and he only has the Zhonyer's Hourglass. Had she had maybe a Things Unholy Grail and possibly a Void Staff, then maybe he'd have thought to pick up some sort of magic resist, but he knows that the real threat in these teamfights is going to come from Admin Crow and possibly Aerodon with actually, it's really good. His positioning in the last fight was extremely well done. He was barely touched that entire fight until the end when the Turtle Show was able to put a Wither on and get a single Q onto him.
Now everyone's hanging out in that brush and in the area waiting to try and push onto this tower. Spotted out by a ward, though. Not going to be the sneakiest of sneak attacks, and everybody from Pinecrest is mobilizing here. We'll see if they can do something. They have a big wave pushing on the top side. Maybe they can stall this out.
Yeah, we might see the Turtle Show. He's hanging around near that mid lane, trying to decide where to go exactly. We do see the backing animation come out, so it looks as though they're going to be just gonna go. He's just gonna go back, clear that top wave, and if a fight does break out, he does have teleport. Caesar Legion, he's gonna be caught out by Found Luggage. The shockwave comes out. It's gonna hit 2 members, but Zach the Bunny Hero gonna take down Orianna extremely quickly. Unanimous is gonna get dark binded by the Morgana and Aerodan. He needs to be careful. Found Luggage is extremely low. He jumps straight in onto Bios. Bios is surviving all of this damage. The exhaust goes in onto the support again on Unanimous. Because he's gonna ignore the exhaust. And Hazuyaki trying to duel 2 members. The Turtle Show, he's finally teleported in to help his team. That was a bit of a late teleport right there. And Admin Crow and Aerodon, they need to get out. That was a really bloody team fight right there.
Yeah, that was a bit nuts, and Turtle Cho really heading up the charge on that one. He was absolutely unkillable. So at the end of the day, they trade 3 for 2, but they get a tower as well, and Pinecrest is slowly getting pushed in by Dunbar High.
And we see, we can just see a lot of the wards that just got put down during that middle of the fight. They want to just continue the vision control so they don't have any sneak attacks coming out from the Tristana or the Jax. And what really just set off that fight was Caesar Legion just walking a bit too far out of vision radius, and that really allowed Found Luggage to catch him out, put a lot of extra damage on him. Zach the Bunny Hero and Found Luggage, they both did get shockwaved, but as we just saw, it just didn't do the damage. Normally at this point when we see Orianna's use their shockwave, we see them burst people down from full to half health, but that just didn't happen.
Yeah, well, Orianna, typically not known as a burst mage anyways. It's really more of a utility ability. The problem is using it only on one champion, especially after face-checking a brush. That's really what didn't help them, and here we go. All 5 members going to get knocked up by the Howling Gale. Will buy just enough time for Pinecrest to disengage. However, it's very dangerous for them to even be outside of their own base right now.
Well, they are pushing Pinecrest outside of the jungle, and now they're pinging the Baron and they're gonna go for it. There's really nothing that Pinecrest can do to stop this Dunbar.
There is vision on this. They could come in and attempt to steal, but they really don't have the damage like you mentioned. This is going to be trouble, and the Baron is already melting in health, and here they come.
Well, we see a Twisted Advance into it. No, he's just gonna take it. Oh, Bios jumping, Twisted Advance. He wasn't able to steal it. Monsoon knocking everyone behind. Janna falls him. And now Zach the Bunny Hero, he's doing the damage. Bios, he knows he can't get away. He's going to fall to, who will it be? It will go to the Kalen Hazuyaki.
That's said and done. Found Luggage able to back to home, and that was a extremely late flash into the pit by BIOS. It actually happened after the Baron had gone down. So now, with a massive numbers advantage, a Baron buff, a huge gold swing in their favor, all 5 members are starting to look for inhibitors, and they should be able to find them easy.
What probably actually should have happened was they should have just given up the Baron, and as 5 gone pushed down at least 1 tower and then gone out. That would have at least put some gold into their pocket. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. They tried to go for the Baron, and they suffered quite a number of casualties because of it.
I should be able to scare up the Dragon as well, but they're just slowly starving Pinecrest out of this game, and there's just not a lot they can do. You look at the item advantages and the gold that's in the pockets of everyone now. You mentioned Orianna still only sitting on the Zhonya's Hourglass, now has a completed Void Staff, but no death cap, no extra AP. Really on top of that one, you see Abencrow, arguably the hardest carry on that side, is only sitting on a Blade of the Rune King and 2 pieces of Trinity Force at 32 minutes into the game. You just can't afford to do that.
Yeah, and as we were saying before, he really needs to get some form of tankiness. He's essentially the second half tank for his team, and BIOS, he can't tank up all 5 members by himself. Abencrow, he needs to just think about his team now instead of thinking about carrying. They need to stall this game out, forget about the Trinity Force right now, get some form of armor, because as it is, the people that are actually doing the damage are the attack damage carry.
Well, there's so much AD right here on the side of Dunbar too. There's really no reason to get a lot of magic resist anyways, but Abencrow, he does need to complete that Trinity Force, and that getting some tanky items wouldn't be a terrible option after that, but he just doesn't have the ability to smack somebody on the head until they die and then keep on going. He doesn't have that power anymore, and that's the problem, is that he's been effectively shut down, and he's the one hardest carrying. You're right, BIOS can't tank up all the damage, and they really needed him too early on, but they also need people to step up and do damage. Nobody else on the side of Pinecrest is really putting out that damage, not even Aerodon.
Well, we'll have to see. As the game does go on, Tristana will start scaling a lot harder. But we'll have, like as I said, we'll have to see how fast she manages to pick up those late game items. She doesn't have a Last Whisper just yet. We do see Hazuyaki with an Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and a Last Whisper, and she's working on what seems to be a Banshee's Veil. So she's going to be really hard to actually lock down.
Yeah, at this point you've got luxury items available too, and you can see the 3-man bush camp is just daring Pinecrest to move out of their base, but they are playing it incredibly cautious. No inhibitor in the middle. To be honest, with the Baron buff, Dunbar should be able to just 5-man up the top or the bottom wherever they want to be. They have been winning fights consistently even under tower, and here they go.
And I don't completely agree with the Ardent Sensor pickup from Unanimous. I think they would have been a lot better had she picked up a Mikhail's just to protect her team from the Morgana binding.
Absolutely.
Or the Ebola. Wow.
Cough.
The Ebola strikes that are going to be coming out from Found Luggage.
Yeah, this has really been an issue the whole game, and that would be a small improvement right now in Unanimous build, but the issue is just so far down in gold, so far behind every one of these fights, and they find Abencrow, and here we go, it begins.
Yeah, and he channeled the Counter-Strike a little bit too late, took a lot of poke from Hazuyaki, and there goes the Shockwave, hitting up 2 members, but it doesn't do the damage. And the Turtle Show, he's just devastating this team right now. He's tanking up 2-3 members at the same time, and the tower, he's just ignoring the tower hits. We see a lot of super minions coming in from the middle lane, and they need to deal with that.
Well, in all honesty, it was a bit sloppy. They lost Found Luggage. Yes, he flashed bullet forward and was able to finish off Abencrow, and then they got BIOS on the back of it, but then he tanked up all the tower shots. Nobody even decided to attack the tower with the minion wave they had in. After they'd forced them off, they really should have picked that off. Instead, they're going to back away, so this actually gives Pinecrest a little bit of breathing room to continue on into this game.
As you can see, we do see, I also like the just the ward coverage they have a little bit outside the walls of their base, just to spot someone out and maybe possibly put a bit of extra damage that they might not have gone onto them. And that, this just small things can help them win the fights, especially with someone like Tristana, who does so well with getting the resets.
Mm-hmm. They really need to start getting kills, you're right, onto Aerodon. I mean, it's not just the fact he's been able to pick up a couple assists. It's helped out, certainly, but when you're a 2-item Tristana at 36 minutes in and you're facing down a 6-1 Caitlyn that's just pretty much got full build, it's really, really hard to fight against that. I mean, the range is about the only thing you have an advantage on at that point, and it's not by a lot.
Oh, we do see the Turtle Show pushing down that bottom lane. The rest of his team just hanging around in the jungle, possibly looking for a pick. We do see the scanner going out, trying to spot a ward, but there is nothing to be removed.
Yeah, there's really no reason for Pinecrest to check outside of their base at this point. They know that they really can't take anything. They know Baron's still a minute away, and they know Dragon's likely not to be up yet, so they're going to back away from this one. However, here comes the rest of Dunbar trying to move in on this open inhibitor. They should be able to secure it easy, but where is Turtlecho?
Turtlecho is waiting. I think they know that they could possibly win a 5v4, and even if they do try to fight that, I'm sure they can stall long enough. Oh,
here they go.
Luggage going in onto the middle of the team, and he doesn't fall. The ultimate from Zach the Bunny Hero is able to pick up a kill onto Unanimous. Zanya's from Hazuyaki's going to keep him alive. Bios is in a really bad position. He's forced to flash over the wall. Meanwhile, while all was happening, Caesar Legion fell as well, and 0 casualties on the side of Dunbar High.
Yep, they are going to the bot too.
Yeah, they're going to be pushing down that bottom Turtlecho. The Q is doing too much damage to these turrets, and now the inhibitor is going to fall as well. The middle inhibitor also falling right there. We do see a really big minion wave on the top side in favor of Pinecrest. And there it is. Found luggage. Just going to go and clear that up. They do have a time on the dragon. They're going to go towards that, pick that up. And we do see pings going towards the Baron.
Normally this would be a really, really greedy thing to try and grab all of that, but at this point in the game, they're so far in the lead, it's really just about denying Pinecrest any goal to get back into this. They're only at 49,000, it's 38 minutes in. They can back and leisurely stroll up to the Baron pit and just take this thing out. There's 2 inhibitors dead on the opposite sides of the map. So Pinecrest, they have to do something now if they want any chance to get back into this, but it feels like it's already over.
And that's a really late Athene's Unholy Grail onto Caesar Legion. He's trying to get some magic resist or possibly mana regen, but at this point you need flat AP. You need to do the damage, and there's not too much, as we said before, there's not too much magic damage to actually be worried about on the side of Dunbar.
Yeah, so the magic resist, yeah, it's definitely not necessary at all, but the biggest issue, you're right, is Caesar Legion's Orianna right now. He has almost no damage to speak of. He hasn't been landing these shockwaves. A good Orianna ultimate can turn around a fight, maybe not at this point, but just in general terms, and it just hasn't happened. There have been at least a dozen Ori ults, and almost all of them have been completely whiffed.
And as you said before, they're going to be taking the dragon, they're going to go back, and now they're working on the Baron. They're going to easily be able to take that without any retaliation, and they're most likely going to be pushing out on that top lane. The wave is close to the middle point, so they're going to be pushing with that. Nope.
They'll be able to do it in a few minutes, but at this point, they can take as much time as they want. In all honesty, this game probably should have ended about 5 or 6 minutes ago after that last fight, but they were playing extremely cautiously, backed off. Now they've got a 5-man Baron buff. They've got an almost insurmountable advantage in this game, and they should just be able to march down top or mid or bot. It doesn't really matter which lane they choose at this point.
Well, the Turtle Show leading the assault, just running down that lane, trying to pick up any spare Q stacks he can find. If we actually look at how many stacks he has 480 right now. So, back from what, just like, he evolved from early game to late game, back from the 5-minute mark where he only had about 16 stacks. At the 40-minute mark, he has about 500. So he is going to be a huge threat. And like as we said before, there's not really too much that Pinecrest can actually do to bring this match back.
Yep, the power of the cane is definitely helping out for Dunbar High as they look to march on and finish this game up. Found Luggage actually going in Viz around the side, so they're just going to look to try and end this one in style. Here they go, ultimate at a Turtle Show.
Popping the Yomus onto Unanimous. There goes the ultimate onto Zach the Bunny Hero. Picking up a kill right there. Morgana picking up a kill onto Jax and Bios. He's tanking it up all these members by himself. Aerodon trying to put some damage onto Turtle Cho. Turtle Cho actually was taken a little bit low from Aerodon. There's the crits. There's the resets. Going up with pick up a first kill with the rocket jump. Aerodon. He has the Wither onto him, and he needs to be careful. He has to flash. The Wither, though, will be able to pick up the kill, and the slow from the Wither is going to help him pick up the kill. Bios, he'll be the last surviving member of his team, and the Turtle Cho is going to be taking that inhibitor, the Nexus down, giving the win over to Dunbar High. I mean Pinecrest.
Yeah,
No, wait,
Pinecrest is they're out at this point. That was one massive push for the finish. So Turtle Cho really leading the charge on that one. I'm surprised they lost so many members in the process, but yeah, Dunbar really, really taking the fight to Pinecrest in the end.
I'm actually a bit surprised Hazuyaki actually fell as well. I was kind of hoping that his positioning would be a little bit better. As well as Aerodon's. Aerodon's positioning this entire game was actually pretty spot on. As you can see, he's only died twice this entire game. That's just like an 80 carry mentality. I need to position in a place where I can do the most damage while being the safest.
Yep. All said and done, it was a good last effort at the very least from Aerodon, but once again you saw Caesar Legion choosing to spend the shockwave. He only landed on Zack the Bunny Hero. That was not where you need to be. His mechanics were not terrible. He did excellent work to save himself, but the rest of the team just did not have any way to survive through all of that. And then Caesar, of course, went down at the very end too, as you saw. So all said and done, it really made Pinecrest look like a scattered bunch of players rather than a full team. And you know, to be fair, they definitely got the jump on a few members of Dunbar, but overall, the latter was just a much better team, and as a result, they're the only ones still undefeated.
And this entire game might have spawned from the fact that Zack the Bunny Hero was completely dominating Caesar Legion in that mid lane. It forced Bios to actually pay a little bit more extra attention to Zack the Bunny Hero, and because of that, he wasn't able to get Admin Crow a little bit extra fed in that top lane.
Yeah, that was definitely a part of it as well. So in the end, though, you know, we've seen Pinecrest in the past. They didn't quite look as scattered, as sloppy as they did today, and part of that might just be Dunbar really taking it to them. But in the end, you know, a fairly long game, 41 minutes in, 13 seconds on top of that, ends up going over to Dunbar High. So they're only 6-0 team in Group B now, and they're going to have the highest seed.
You know, and we'll have to see. We have another week just to find out who the other teams, which other teams they will be joining in the playoffs for the Junior Varsity League.
Mm-hmm. So with all that said and done, guys, that is our broadcast for today. A big thank you to every one of our sponsors, of course, including SoChain, our Dogecoin, Dogecoin Ball, Shiba Mint, and of course, Doge for eSports and all the wonderful Shibas on the internet. Guys, thanks for watching. We will be back next week, same time. I'm Pyrotechnics, of course. He is Desi Fresh, and he's always fresh. Guys, we'll see you next time.